Walk with me on the devil's left-way path, where we will take several turns along the way. This path is multifaceted, dark, light, and everything falling betwixt. Crooked our steps will be, for the witch's journey is never straight nor narrow. Greetings and salutations. I am Kindra RavenMoon. Welcome to the Thorn Rose Witch podcast. Here is where we discuss a bit about everything that falls under the umbrella of dark spirituality, witchcraft, Satanism, devil worship, and all things related above, below, and beyond. Now, by the time this podcast is out, we would have passed the calendar date of Halloween. However, as the title states, Halloween is not over. We are still very much in the spooky season. I also want to make note that throughout this podcast, I will be mentioning the Sabbath Samhain or Samhain or Samhain. I will be referring to it as Samhain, but I did want to make a note here. I want to make it known, I should say, that for those who pronounce it, and even sometimes myself, but anyone who pronounces Samhain, Samhain, don't jump at them for mispronouncing it. I want you all to know that Samhain is the pronunciation, Samhain, is one of the proper ways to pronounce the Sabbath or this holiday. But I will be referring to it as Samhain throughout this podcast. At least I think I will. Now, diving into today's topic. For most witches and Satanists, Halloween or Samhain or Samhain is the most sacred Sabbath. Particularly for many Satanists, it is the highest holiday aside from one's birthday, and with the runner-up being Walpurgis. This date, along with the months, days leading up to it, and the following week, is a time of high vibrational frequency in the natural atmosphere. For those who are intuitive or tend to be magically inclined, this is the most potent period for receiving direct messages from spirits of all sorts, including demons. Any form of divination, magic, or ritual during this time is enhanced. Working with demons, specifically those associated with the night, during this period will be stronger than usual, and communication will be much clearer. The devil is always with you. However, you most likely will feel his presence stronger during this time of year. Taking more inspiration from its tenebrous energy and feeling your connection with the devil's current is inherently more potent during this dark half of the year. And the dark half of the year being from September all the way through to the end of November, or actually even to the end of December and into January. Now, to set things straight, Halloween is approached, or Halloween as approached, I should say, within dark spirituality, is not to be confused with the Gaelic seasonal celebration of Samhain. Halloween is honored by Satanists, but not all Satanists acknowledge Samhain, nor do all traditional witches acknowledge Samhain. Since ancient times, depending on the region or local vicinity, Samhain was either noted on the blood moon. Now, the blood moon meaning the full moon of October. It's used to be called, and in traditional currents nowadays as well, it is referred to, the October full moon is referred to as the blood moon. And this is in relation to hunting and the slaughter of farm animals for meat to sustain during the winter months. Or it was the day or you could say Halloween or Samhain, I should say, was the day falling on the fluctuating astrological date. Now, that's the date that falls on the midpoint between the autumn equinox and the winter solstice. The date is always about roughly a week after our contemporary calendar date for Halloween, so roughly about a week after October 31st. And some today still acknowledge Samhain for falling on this date. And I believe this year, for 2025, it falls on November 7th. I don't quote me on that, but from what I remember, I think it is November 7th. But you could always look that up. Google rocks for these kind of things, right? So, Halloween, as we commonly know it, is the fixed calendar date, as mentioned, of October 31st. Now, the old date for Halloween, known as Old Halloween or Old Hallowmass Eve, falls actually on November the 11th. Now, that's the day that has been marked on the calendar and acknowledged by many as St. Martin's Day or Martin Mass. I like to say that it's the old Halloween has been masked in modern times as being Martin Mass. Now, Samhain is the time to honor one's ancestors, or traditionally is the time to honor one's ancestors and connect with the spirits of the dead that are still lingering upon the earth, and or also to connect with the mighty dead, those of significance not from your bloodline ancestry. Now, as mentioned, not all Satanists celebrate Samhain, and neither do all traditional witches. They don't honor ancestors, but those that do will set up a separate altar or a space to commemorate the dead. Never are the dead honored at Satan's altar. That's your satanic devotional altar. More often than not, Satanists and traditional heretic witches, myself included, rather than paying homage to their familial bloodline ancestry for whatever variety of personal reasons, will prefer to honor the Satanists, occultists, witches, musicians, and even certain other pop culture icons who have gone before. Those who made an impact in the esoteric world or whose works played a personal significance on your individual practice or life in general. Those who have paved the way, whose works and memory should live on forever, in my opinion. Whoever you honor at your altar for the dead should hold a deep personal meaning to you and your dark spiritual practice or belief. In my own practice, I set up a temporary altar space and burn a candle each day throughout November, starting on November 2nd, the Day of the Dead, and continuing until the 28th. My altar for the dead is for the mighty dead mostly, and for some personal friends and very few family members who I respect, who are now beyond the veil, and though the ones who had a positive impact on my life, of course. I I don't believe that anyone should feed energy towards blood relatives who have passed with whom you never got along with while they were alive, or that you had maybe a neutral or no connection at all with them, other than being a blood relative. Now, if they had no, they meaning the relatives or ancestors that died, had no positive impact on your practice or life in general, and especially if they would have been, or when they were alive, even were against your esoteric practice, why bother? Why honor them during this time of year just because you feel like you have to? You don't. I also don't believe that you should address or try to connect with what you think are the spirits of distant ancestors because you don't know if that is who you are actually connecting with. And even if it is, by chance, even if it is, you don't know what kind of person they were in life or if they even would get along with you. It is more likely that if they knew you were a witch, a Satanist, or a cultist of some sort, or that you practice anything associated with the occult in general, they would not have been okay with it and most likely would have helped to condemn you for it. So why give time and energy to that just because you think it's the right thing to do to be a proper witch or a trad witch or folk witch or etc.? Hogwash, in my opinion. Now, Halloween is one of the calendar dates of importance for many North American Satanists, in particular because it's when they have had either first dedicated themselves to Satan or have been initiated into a tradition of Satanism. Many Satanists will conduct a rededication ritual on this day. Of course, a rededication to Satan or even to both the devil and the lady, his bride. For some traditional dark or, if you want to call it, heretic witches during this season, the devil's bride is honored as a dark goddess or as a goddess of death, and is seen as being, in some traditions, the beauty in death. And that is how she's addressed in some traditional currents. However you approach it, Halloween is very sacred to Satanists and witches. For the spiritual Satanists, an intimate ritual takes place with time spent at Satan's altar. Many heretic witches, also known as traditional folkloric witches, and classical Satanists will do a form of black mass, especially those who are part of a coven or group of some kind. Many traditional folkloric witches, including myself, not only honor the devil, as done on any other grand Sabbath, but also connect with the spirit of Halloween, taking gnosis from it and allowing it to empower them and their magical abilities for the year ahead. I personally I personally will acknowledge the contemporary calendar date of Halloween, October 31st, as being the traditional North American Halloween with all the energy or egregore that has built up over the years through superstition, fun, and shenanigans around this date. I like to light a candle for the spirit of Halloween and connect with its current. Some years, depending on the weather, I will take a walk and observe trick or treaters and Halloween decorated homes and take in the essence of the Halloween spirit before returning home to light a candle for the actual spirit of Halloween, tapping into its current and allowing that spirit to fill and empower me with its nostrils and energy. Then later on, I either celebrate in some way with friends or I stay home and binge watch horror movies. I always perform some form of divination with the tarot or either crystal ball gazing or water scrying on this night. Now, November 2nd, as I mentioned, I like to set up my altar to the dead with a candle and appropriate incense. On that night, I write the names of those I'm honoring on a parchment paper, and I thank each of them individually for their achievements that help grow my practice or for being a light in my life's journey. Then I burn the paper. Every day or night thereafter, until the end of November, I'll simply light the candle, sometimes taking a moment to reflect on the particular person it is meant for. On November 11th, I honor the whole Old Hallowmass or Old Halloween as the traditional folkloric heretic witch or dark witch that I am. I perform a solitary black mass themed ritual with offerings honoring the devil and his bride as the goddess of death. I usually work with the black mirror on this night and throughout November, actually. I am of the belief, and really do feel it, that as of October 31st, the veil that separates our world from that of the spirit realm is completely lifted. It's gone. And it only begins to slowly form again on New Year's Day, January 1st. But it isn't fully reinstated until the 2nd of February, or Imbolc for those who celebrate or honor that Sabbath. So, in the comments below, if you'd like to share, how do you honor this time of year? Do you only acknowledge October 31st, or only the blood moon, which as being the full moon of October? Or do you honor the old Holocaust, November 11th? Or do you go full out on the Day of the Dead? Do you acknowledge All Souls Day, or the day of Halloween, or Day of Holocaust, which is November 1st? How do you honor this? Is it just one day or night for you, or do you stretch it out throughout November? I always feel that this is the most haunting time of year, and not just because it's the dark half of the year. For me, as I see it, and also one who has worked or researched the paranormal and being a witch, the veil actually begins to thin sometime around near the end of August, near the ending of August. And anyone who works with anything paranormal or has researched the paranormal knows that September is one of the high times, the high months of paranormal activity. And this is when the veil is progressively thinning right up until October 31st, which, as you know, in my belief, as I just mentioned, is completely lifted. But speaking of things paranormal, September is noted as being the high time, and you could research this or conduct your own practice or your own studies on this. But September is normally noted as being the high time for paranormal activities, and then it jumps ahead to December. Now, when you really think of it, December is the darkest month of all, and I'm speaking not as in lack of daylight. I'm talking energy wise, and if you're a Satanist, it truly is a satanic month. And this is in my opinion, and based on from what I feel of the energy around me, and being a practitioner of both Satanism and traditional witchcraft. Well, I'm going to leave it at this for now. I like this for now. And please share your experiences, or how you honor this time of year in the comments. I really would like to read all that. And for now, I bid you adieu. Darkest blessings under Lucifer's light. Until next time, my dears.